Hello everyone, this is HammerTron here with a new action figure review for you. This time I am reviewing the Dungeons & Dragons Warduke action figure. This is made by NeCA, although they probably pay a licensing fee to Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Hasbro. So this was originally scheduled to be out in 2022, but it was delayed, and now I finally have it here. And it comes in this nice box here, and something to hang it on a peg, although I ordered this through an online store, so I don't think it is ever hung on any peg. And here we have the front of the box. It looks very nice. Nice picture there. There is the top of the box. Here is the bottom of the box. It gives a list of credits to the people who worked on this action figure. And here is one side of the box with a nice picture, and the other side of the box with the name there. Here's the back of the box, nice picture and a little mini biography about Warduke, and another action figure available at the time, Grimsword. And there's some Velcro on the front here, which closes the box. And then we have another nice picture over here and a window box. I like the window boxes so I can see what I'm getting. So we can see the action figure, we can see the accessories there, and if we look very carefully, you might not see it on the camera, but there is a little piece of plastic over the body, so that attaches the action figure to the plastic tray in the box. So when I take it out, I'll have to be careful to cut that little plastic string to pull the action figure out without breaking it. Now this is NeCA, so I've heard that NeCA action figures are sometimes fragile, so I'll have to get out the hair dryer to warm it up before I really move the joints around. I don't enjoy doing that, but this costs a lot of money, and well, I'm a big fan of the Dungeons & Dragons, especially the cartoon and the novels. So, in a moment, I'll take this out and review the action figure itself. Okay, I've just taken this action figure out of the plastic tray. Here's the plastic tray with some of the accessories in it. The action figure was in here. And here's an extra piece here. This was covering the sheath on the side of the action figure here. So this is connected with a little chain. I don't know if it's plastic or metal, but it looks pretty fragile. And so it had this piece covering it next to the body. And there are lots of these little plastic things. Can you see that? Lots of little plastic things that are holding the action figure in the plastic tray. So you want to carefully remove those. This one was especially difficult. This was holding this plastic piece next to the body over the sheath in the plastic tray. So you want to be very careful when taking this out. This was hard to get to in order to cut it, but you don't want to start pulling the action figure out of the tray until all of those plastic pieces have been removed. Otherwise something's going to break. So it does come out easily once all the plastic ties are taken out. Now the leg moved just a little bit. I think I'm going to heat this up with a hair dryer. I don't really like having to do that, but I'm just such a fan of the Dungeons & Dragons, especially the cartoon and novels, that I'm going to do that just to make sure this thing stays in one piece. So I'll review the action figure and accessories in a moment. Here is the Warduke action figure. Let's see how tall this action figure is. Up to the tips of the wings on the helmet there, it's about 8 inches tall, or about 20 centimeters tall. So it's a very nicely sized action figure. Impressively big, so I like that. And it definitely looks very, very intimidating. I like the metallic blue on the helmet here. We can't really see much of a face under there, but we don't need to. So I just like the way the helmet looks. So very impressive. And there's a lot of rubbery plastic details here, some bits of armor and some straps and a sword sheath here on the back, one on the side here for a dagger, and another one that dangles here with some plastic chain there. So I think that's fragile there, so we want to be careful when we're handling this part, because I think it'll break pretty easily. And kind of a furry loincloth here, but it's made of pliable plastic. Lots of sculpted details here and lots of painting on it. Some metal bands on the arm here. Looks like the muscles have been sculpted in. It looks like it's nicely painted. Some scale armor on this arm here. Bits of armor on the forearm and the hand. Same thing on the leg here. Some scaled armor on the leg here. And some metal on the leg here and some spikes. Here's the boot. Very pliable plastic here. And there are peg holes on the bottom of the heel there. So lots of painted details all across this action figure. Lots of pliable plastic pieces added for more effect. So I'm very impressed with how it looks. It is a bit fragile. I think it's a bit fragile, so I want to be very careful. And I've been warming up the joints a little bit. I'm going to warm them up a little more to see what kind of range of motion I can get on them. So I'll be back in a moment to go over the articulation of this Warduke action figure. Okay, I've been warming this action figure up with a hair dryer for a couple of minutes, and I've been working with the joints a little bit, so hopefully I don't have any problems. So the head can look down quite a bit, look up a little bit. We can turn side to side, maybe a little bit of tilting. So it certainly does look down quite a bit. That's nice. And the shoulders, now I think it goes up a little bit. It might go up a little more than that. I've been working on it a little bit. This one goes up a bit stiff, so I think they would go up a little more. I'm going to have to heat it up some more and work on it, very gently. I definitely don't want to break anything. So this side, maybe with all the scales, it interferes with the articulation a little bit, but we can get the shoulders to move forward and back, so that works. Same thing on this side. I could probably do it the full 360, but I don't enjoy doing that anyway. It's just not a natural movement. Then we have bicep cuts, so that will turn a little bit. So I think the muscles get in the way. So this side moves a little bit more, so that's pretty good. Then we have a single jointed elbow, so we can make the arms straight. And then single jointed elbows go in that far, so it looks like a little more than 90 degrees. So that's pretty good. There is a swivel at the elbow, so that is working on both sides. So that's pretty good. So these are pinless. I don't see any pins, so NeCA has been using pinless joints. I don't know how long they have been. And the wrist will turn. And I don't feel any hinges in there. So it looks like these are the weapon gripping hands. And then the body, it does bend around. There's probably a ball peg under here. So I think what's getting in the way is a lot of this harness and straps, so it's limiting the articulation. So it'll wiggle a little bit, but not very much. And then the hips will go out. They're a little bit hindered by the pliable plastic loincloth here. It goes out that far. You can kick forward this much, probably a little more, but it's being hindered by the pliable plastic here. Kick back a little bit. Here we can kick forward a little bit, kick back a little bit, and it feels like there's kind of an upper thigh cut there, but I'm not sure that it is there. No, I think there's a hip ball peg, so we can turn the legs a little bit, but not very much. But that is working. So I'll straighten these out. And then we have single jointed knees. It goes up that much on that side, and this side's a little bit stiffer. I think it's not going as much. I think it's the scales on the leg there are interfering with the movement a little bit. There is a swivel at the knee joint, so that's interesting. So that does turn a little bit. And then let's straighten this out gently. There we go. Then there is a boot cut. There's a boot cut there. And there is a boot cut on this one. Although it's being blocked by this plastic piece, so not very much of a boot cut there. Then the ankles, I've not been able to get them to go down, so I can't get them to do any tippy toes, but they do go up just a little bit. So it might go a little more than this. I'll have to heat up the joints a bit more and work with them very gently, but they do wiggle just a little bit, and they wiggle side to side, but I don't think there's any ankle pivot. So the articulation is pretty limited compared to some other action figures. It certainly looks nice, but I'm still worried about bending them very much, because I've heard that NeCA action figures have fragile joints. So I've been heating it up and working with it, so I'll keep doing that a little bit longer to see what other poses I can get this in. But it looks nice, and the joints do work a little bit, although maybe not as much as I would like them to work. Here are the accessories we get with this Warduke action figure. Here's some extra hands. This is a left hand, an armored hand, more of an open position, and it does have a hinge here, so that does work. I did not have to warm this up, and seems to be okay. A couple of human hands for the right hand. And here the joint is not working for me. I think I have to heat it up before I really push on it. But here's another gripping hand and a pointing finger hand. So these look nice. And then we have a shield. Very impressive design on the shield here. It's pretty heavy, solid piece of plastic. And a strap here and a grip. Although it kind of looks like it's meant to go on the right hand. Let's take a look at Warduke here. So the arm will go under the strap and it will kind of, well, I don't know if we can really get it to grip the handle or not. If we push it far enough, the friction there will hold it in place. So looks alright. However, I think the right hand should be for the sword, so this should really go on left hand. But the way the strap is, the shield would be upside down, and it's also a little hard to get the strap over the armored hand and the forearm. So we do want it to look kind of like this, but I don't think we can really get it to fit this way. And then we have a flame effect. This flame effect, I think, goes with this long sword here. It's a very nicely sculpted and painted long sword, and just a little bit pliable. So I like how this looks, but I think we're supposed to be able to put this on here, but I have not been able to get it very far. So I don't want to push too hard because I'm sure something would break. So it's a nice looking sword, and this flame effect I think would work better with this short sword, also nicely sculpted and painted, and this one will go all the way up to the hilt. So I think that works pretty nicely, but I think the flame effect is meant for the long sword, but this works better. And here's another weapon. I'm not sure what kind of sword or dagger this is, but nicely shaped, sculpted and painted, a little bit pliable, and I don't think this will work with the flame effect. Well, it does kind of. So if we put the weapons on or in the sheath with the action figure, I think this sheath will hold this weapon. Slides in and out very smoothly, so that's nice. And I think this one is meant for the side here, but it doesn't really fit in very well either way. So no, I don't think that fits in very well here, and I don't think it's meant for this one. And I'm not sure it's meant for the back, although it'll fit there, but it's very, very loose, so it's not meant for the back. The longsword, I think, is meant for the back, but I have not been able to get it all the way in. So it gets stuck, and I don't want to push too hard on it, so it doesn't really fit in all the way. But these are a nice set of accessories, so certainly helps make for a good display or a diorama with certain battle poses. I had a really hard time getting this sword in this gripping hand here, so I used a hairdryer to heat up the hand here. I made the fingers really pliable. They were very stiff before, but they became really, really pliable. I was surprised about how pliable it was, so we want to be careful about how much heat we put on it, but I was able to bend the fingers a little bit in order to get the hilt of the sword in his hand. So if I want to remove it, after a while I might have to heat it up again to make the fingers more pliable in order to remove the sword. So just something we have to do if we want to keep this in good shape, although I'm not so sure I'm happy about having to use a hairdryer to heat it up before actually using it. Here is Warduke next to a pair of 4-inch action figures. On the right side is an adventurer from an Animal Planet set I reviewed a while ago. On the left side is the Fortnite Jonesy action figure by Jazzwares. Here is Warduke next to a 6-inch action figure. This is the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin White Ranger. Here is Warduke next to a 7-inch action figure. This is the Masters of the Universe Masterverse He-Man action figure by Mattel, and I think they go well together. He-Man is a barbarian, and he is a bit smaller than Warduke, so Warduke is a very frightening opponent. Here is Warduke next to a 9-inch action figure. This is the Atrocitus Collect to Build action figure from DC Multiverse by McFarlane Toys. So Warduke is pretty big, but not nearly as big as the Atrocitus action figure. The HammerTron Sledgehammer rating for this Dungeons and Dragons Warduke action figure by NeCA it's okay. It's barely okay. Now it certainly looks wonderful. I like the way it looks. I like the pliable plastic pieces they have there, although this dangling sheath I just think is going to get broken eventually if I'm not careful at all times. So it looks great. I like the way it looks. The color choice for the helmet there is good, and this pliable plastic accessories and decoration here looks great. The biggest problem is, because it's a NeCA action figure, I've heard that those are fragile, and I've been using a hairdryer to heat it up. I even had to use a hairdryer to make the fingers more pliable, and when I tried to put this sword in a second time, the fingers were a bit stiff, so every time I want to put the sword in the hand, I'm going to have to use a hairdryer because I don't want to break anything, and that's a little disappointing. This thing's a little bit expensive, so I would like something that's a little more robust and can handle being handled like an action figure. But the joints have been working so far. I've been very gentle and careful with them, so it's just okay. I would just like it to be stronger and more robust and able to be handled more comfortably without the fear of it breaking in my hands. So thank you for watching my review video. Remember to like the video. Please leave a comment below the video. Let me know what you think of this action figure and what you think about NeCA and their quality. And please subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my future reviews. I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.